God can use whatever He has given us wherever we are for the good of His people. It doesn't matter how young we are or how little we think we have to offer. The Bible gives us a great example of this. Let's read John chapter 6, verses 1 to 13. Sometime after this, Jesus crossed to the far shore of the Sea of Galilee, that is the Sea of Tiberias, and a great crowd of people followed Him because they saw the signs He had performed by healing the sick. Then Jesus went up on a mountainside and sat down with His disciples. The Jewish Passover festival was near. When Jesus looked up and saw a great crowd coming toward Him, He said to Philip, "Where shall we buy bread for these people to eat?" He asked this only to test Him, for He already had in mind what He was going to do. Philip answered Him, "It would take more than half a year's wages to buy enough bread for each one to have a bite." Another of His disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, spoke up. "Here is a boy with 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish, but how far will they go among so many?" Jesus said, "Have the people sit down." There was plenty of grass in that place, and they sat down. About 5,000 men were there. Jesus then took the loaves, gave thanks, and distributed to those who were seated as much as they wanted. He did the same with the fish. When they had all had enough to eat, He said to the disciples, "Gather the pieces that are left over. Let nothing be wasted." So they gathered them and filled 12 baskets with the pieces of the 5 barley loaves left over by those who had eaten. This event is commonly called the feeding of the 5,000. However, it says there were 5,000 men. It was typical to only count the head of the household at that time, but women and children would have been present too. So there were likely somewhere between 10 and 20,000 people gathered to hear Jesus. The disciples didn't know how to care for the needs of all these people. They assumed they couldn't, but God provided the gift of exactly what was needed: 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. Think about the different hands these items passed through. A mom had likely packed up a small lunch basket, sending it off with her son for later in the day. She gave what she had to her child. And the boy was apparently among the crowd with his lunch when one of the disciples saw him and pointed him out. He must have willingly offered what he had to Jesus, because we have no record of Jesus forcing anyone to hand over anything. It was when these resources were handed over to be used by the Son of God that they became so much more than meets the eye. In the hands of Jesus, this small amount of food multiplied. But that's not the end of the story. Jesus could not have passed the food around by Himself to such a large crowd. His disciples helped Him. These faithful followers of Jesus took what Jesus handed them and distributed it for the benefit of others. And not only was there enough for the huge crowd, there were 12 baskets left over, enough for each one of the disciples. This event is an excellent picture of what it looks like to use our gifts and talents for God's glory. One mother provided for her son, and that boy gave what he had to Jesus, who multiplied it miraculously. And then the disciples helped share it with everyone. God can use what we have wherever we are for the good of His people. It takes all of us to help share what He's provided with the world. When we offer what we have, no matter how little, God can do amazing things. What we have will surely not be enough unless placed in God's hands.